Hello class, this is your teacher Mr. McDougall again with your next project tutorial for the unit of photography. This one we're going to be diving into our next Adobe software called Adobe Lightroom Classic. So just like the previous lesson, we have some exercise files. I'll quickly remind you again how to download exercise files. Click right here where it says exercise files. Again, yours will probably be on the right side of your screen. Yours will probably be over here with your name on it. So again, the files are large, you can't preview it. Same thing as always. Go to the three dots, open a new window, and it will show you a similar page, but now you have this download button. So click the download button. This just says that the files are too big. It's fine. It does not say you have a virus. It's saying the files are just really large. So that's fine. Click download anyway. It's not a problem. So you'll see we'll start downloading. It might just take a little extra second because they're big files, but that's totally fine. So the same as we usually do, let's open our downloads files now. Go to the downloads. Here's the zip folder. First I need to extract it, so right click and do extract. So now I have the exercise files not zipped. These are the ones with the actual files that I need. Let's open our second window. Right click and go to File Explorer to open a second window. Now I can drag them around. And this one will be our Intro to Graphics folder where we're then going to move our exercise files. So Intro to Graphics, let's make a new one for today, folder. This one is 306 Lightroom Classic. Now we can move our exercise files in there. Perfect. And again, just leave them in your downloads folder for now in case something happens with the Google Drive, but we're going to find our files and export them into Google Drive, import them into Lightroom through here, but just leave them in your downloads folder for now in case your computer has any issues. So now we're going to open Lightroom Classic. Just like we did before, it should be down here bookmarked into your taskbar, and it's this one that says LRC. There's two versions of Lightroom. There's Lightroom Regular, which is just LR, and there's Lightroom Classic. This is the one that we want. So click on Lightroom Classic. If you didn't bookmark it, just like the previous lesson, come to your menu and your All Apps and look for Lightroom Classic. If it's not there, you may just need to download it. Come find me and I will help you download it. So now we're on Lightroom Classic. This is going to be our first touch into editing software with Adobe. And one thing to keep in mind, this is the only Adobe editing program that does not sync to your Adobe Cloud. And the reason for that is because the files are too large and there's just too many. It would fill up your entire cloud space. As a photographer, I'll take about, if I do a wedding for about 8 hours, I'll take anywhere from about 3,000 to 4,000 photos, and I need to edit all of them very fast. And Lightroom Classic allows me to edit all that, which is hundreds and hundreds of gigabytes from that one event. And I need to edit them quickly, which I can do easily in Lightroom Classic. Lightroom Regular does not have that ability. I can only edit photos one at a time. So I much prefer this one. Most photographers use this one instead. So first, before we could do anything, we need to import our photos. See, it says right here, click import to begin. We need to bring our photos, that's what import means, bring them into the software so we can start editing them. So to do that, we're going to go up to top where it says File, and then Import Photos and Video. So you'll see various options, just like we did in Adobe Bridge. The left side is where the folder locations are. So this is where you can find your file locations. It should be in your Google Drive where we just moved it. And the thing to keep in mind is that you need to click on these little arrows right here. If I just click on My Drive, it's going to show me everything in My Drive, and that's going to take forever. This is not everything. It's going to take a second to load because it's going to start syncing, and this is going to take way too long. You need to click these little arrows right here. These little arrows will open and close the menus till we can find the specific folder. So I don't want everything from My Drive. I just want to click this arrow. Now it's going to show me all the folders in My Drive. And then again, keep clicking these little arrows. It's going to be like a set of stairs going down. Here's my Intro to Graphics folder. Click this arrow to open it. And then here's my Lightroom Classic. Click this arrow. Keep clicking the arrows until you run out of arrows. So this is my last folder right here. Here's all my exercise files. If your Google Drive is not syncing for whatever reason, please let me know and I will help you. And if that's the case, then we need to come back to the local disk and find them in your downloads folder. But go here first, and if it's not working, then come let me know, and then you can pick up from this next step. So here's all of the exercise files that I just gave you that you just downloaded. We're going to bring them into our program. Before we do that, the one other thing I want you to do is over here at the top right where it says file handling, click this little arrow. Again, this whole program, you're going to be clicking a lot of these little arrows because there's too many menus to fit on the screen. So these arrows will just hide, collapse and uncollapse certain menus so you can see the ones that you actually want. But we don't need them all the time, which is why we have them. Otherwise, there's not enough screen space for all this stuff. So come over here to this file handling one, click on that, and then check this box, turn this on that says Build Smart Previews. This will just allow Lightroom Classic to flow a little bit smoother. If you don't check this box, it's okay, but if you don't check it, you'll notice that there might be a little bit of a lag to Lightroom Classic, especially when you're working with a lot more photos. As you scroll through them, it'll lag a little bit. This will just help prevent that by adding quicker previews and making your whole workflow process a lot smoother. Once you've checked that box, you don't ever have to check it again. It'll stay permanently checked. So now, as long as all these are selected, we can now click Import. And it will bring them in. It'll show you the import process right here, and it will say the previews are built. So click OK. We're good. Awesome. Just like in Adobe Bridge, we can adjust the size of the thumbnails right here with this thumbnail slider. So you can see how many we're working with. We have a total of 15. So let me show you what we're going to do with these. If you go back to the classroom assignment and click on the classwork slides, add your name and period as we always do to number 1. You're going to make some minor adjustments to each of the photos on the slideshow. So we're going to correct this one, these ones right here. But as you can see from the slideshow, how many photos we're working with, the first step is we're going to filter through because there's only actually 10 photos that you're going to edit, but I've given you 15. So the first step is we're going to filter out the ones that we don't actually need. So it's these 10 right here. You can see the previews on this one. So first thing we need to do is mark the photos that we're actually going to keep, and we're going to hide the ones that we're not. So there's 2 ways to mark, and this is going to be very common in Adobe, is that there's multiple ways to achieve the same result. I will show you all the ways or both ways if possible, and then I'll just let you pick the one that works the best for you. So the first way you can mark a photo, so let's say for this one we're going to mark this guy, this blue dude. So the first thing you can do is make sure the photo is selected, and you can rate it by clicking 5-star on your keyboard. So if you click the number 5 on your keyboard, it says rating set to 5, and you'll see there's 5 stars on him right now. So you can 5-star all the pictures that are on the slideshow, like this one. Not this one. This one's not on the slideshow, so I'm going to skip this one. This one is. If you accidentally rate one, say I accidentally rated this guy and said, oops, I rated him, but I didn't mean to, just click 0 on your keyboard, and that will set it to 0, and that will take the stars away. So that's the first way you can mark it. You can go through all the photos on the slideshow right here. You can see all these ones, and just go to each one and 5-star them with the 5 on your keyboard. The second way to mark them is to flag them. So if you click here where the picture is again, let's go back to this blue guy. If you hit the letter P on your keyboard, P as in Paul, you can hit P, and that will says flag as pick. And see how there's a little flag right there? Same thing with this one. Hit P to flag, and now you see I have little flags. Same thing right here. If you flag on accident, so I flagged this karate guy. He's not one of the ones I want to use, but I accidentally flagged him. You're going to hit U on your keyboard. U as in umbrella. Take that. It says remove flag. So now I've unflagged it. So pick either way that you want to do. You can 5-star them or you can flag them. It does not matter. But go ahead and mark all 10 of the photos that we're going to edit right here, which is these 10. So I'm going to do that right here since I've already marked them. Again, you can flag or 5-star. It does not matter. They both achieve the same result. So now we need to filter to only show the ones that we've marked. We're going to hide the ones that we're not even going to bother with. And this is what I do as a photographer. I'll take thousands of photos like I mentioned, but I'm not going to give all the photos to the client because most of them are test shots or out of focus or just snapping away. So I need to narrow down to the best ones. So the ones I'm not even going to bother editing, I need to hide. And we're going to do that by doing this filter option down here. See where it says filter? Filters off. You're going to select one of 2 options depending on how you marked your photos. If you 5-starred them, you're going to click rated right here. Click rated, and now it's only showing the 5-star photos right there. If you flagged them, then click flagged instead. And And now you can see it's showing the flag photo. See, now it's only showing the 10 photos. Actually, I think I missed one. Which one did I miss? Oh, I missed this girl right here. There we go. Flagged. Mine was only showing 9. Now it's showing 10. So again, you'll see now it's only showing the 10. The 5 that we're not editing, it's not even showing with them because they're not important right now. So we can ignore them. Okay, to actually start editing them now, we're going to go to this Develop tab. Another thing that might happen, if as you're clicking around, and I want to give you guys some options in case you're troubleshooting, if you're clicking around and you accidentally click some of these icons down here and now you're like, what happened? I'm on people mode. Just make sure you click this icon over here, the grid view. That will take you back to this one. Another thing that might happen is you might start collapsing these windows on accident, like this. And now you're like, where all my windows go? Again, the arrows are the key. If I hover over here, you see this arrow, it brings the menu back. I can click on it and now this tab is back. So you have one on the left, right, top, and bottom. Right here, this will bring these back if I click here. So if you ever click away and those are gone, it's okay. Just click this little gray arrow on the sides and you'll be fine. So now let's go to the Develop tab. This is where you can start editing. So if I click on this one, we're going to start with this guy. And again, yours probably looks more like this as you get started. So all the developing is going to be here on the right side. And again, these are the menus. We're going to collapse all of these for right now. So see where the arrow is. Again, click the arrow so it collapses. Have them all collapsed for right now. The only one we're going to keep open is this basic one. We're going to stick with just basic tabs. So click this little arrow to expand it. So that's the only one that's open. Again, the arrows are key because if these were all open, it would take up way too much space on the screen. So we'll just leave them closed because we're not using them. All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to make some very minor corrections to all of these photographs. So as you can see from the example, you're going to make the correction. At the very end of this lesson, I'll show you how to export them and then turn them in right here. So this first guy, he is way too blue with color, temperature. We're going to change that. So he's too blue. We need to fix it. All these fixes are going to make it so the pictures look more natural, not over or underexposed, and the colors look good. So something I haven't mentioned yet is color temperature, and that depends on the color of your light source. You may have noticed as you're taking pictures, if you take pictures inside or outside in the sun or in the shade, that the color in your picture looks different sometimes, and that depends on the color of the light source. So this one's too blue, so we can adjust this color temperature slider right here. See how it's blue and orange? If I drag this slider to the right, it'll balance out the blue, making it more orange, which takes the blue away and gives them a more natural skin tone. So you can see right here, I fixed it so he's not too blue. He looks still a little pale. We can go maybe a little warmer. That's as far as we can go with this particular photo, but that's okay. So now it's balanced so he doesn't look too blue. That's it. That's all we're going to do for that photo. Let's go to the next one on the slide. If I go to this girl, she has the exact opposite problem. She's too orange, so we're going to fix that with the same way. So go click on her now. Now we have this one. She's too orange. We're going to balance her back out again by taking this temp slider more towards the blue just a little bit. Just a little bit. Again, check your screen. We want the skin tones to look natural. That's the key to all this stuff. If I go too far, she starts to look ice cold and too blue or too pale, and that's not natural. That's not what we want. Everyone has different skin tones. Some are lighter, some are darker than others. The goal is to keep it looking natural in the photo. We don't want it to be too far to where she's orange or yellow or that she's blue or purple. We want it to look natural and flattering. Perfect, just like that. Let's go to the next one. I'm going to walk you through every single one of these so you know exactly what we need to do. This girl is too green. We need to fix the color tint on her. Let's go to this girl. So just underneath temp, we also have tint, which is pink and green. So we're going to do it the exact same way. We're going to balance it out. So she's too much on the green side. So we're going to drag this towards the pink side and just start dragging it. You don't have to go to my number exactly, but look at your screen. Look at her skin tone change, and you want it to be natural. I'm going to say that looks pretty natural. She looks better now. She doesn't look sickly and green anymore. Perfect. Let's go to the next one. This girl. This one's too pink. We got pink the sky again. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look natural. We're going to fix it. Click on this one with the girl. And let's make this one a little bit more green to balance it out. The whole point of this is to create balance and a natural look in the photograph. There we go. Looks better. Sky looks blue. Her skin tone looks normal. So that's it. Excellent. The next one has to deal with exposure. We've talked about exposure in the exposure triangle, and I warned you if you take a picture that's underexposed, that's bad. However, if it's a little underexposed, that is something we can fix in Lightroom Classic. So this one is too dark. We're going to bump up the exposure slider. Let's go to this one with the dancers. Right here, you see where it says exposure. Let's drag that one to the right to bring up the exposure a little higher and make the image brighter overall. So even if your shot is a little underexposed, that is still okay. It can be fixed later. Don't take it up too high. Now we're overexposed again. So just a little bit till it looks natural. Right about there. Perfect. Next one. This girl has the opposite problem. Her skin is too bright, too overexposed. So let's correct that. Take that exposure slider, drag it down to the left just a little bit. You see your skin tone and the overall exposure is going down until her skin tone looks more natural. Again, just very slowly, gradually drag the slider until it looks good. That looks good to me. Next one, these guys, the weightlifters. So this one specifically is too dark. However, we want to lift the shadows and not just the exposure slider itself. So you'll see with this one, with the weightlifters, if I bring up the exposure slider, see how it's dark on the sides? Right here, I want to bring up these shadows. If I bring up the overall exposure of the photo, it lifts the shadows, and now it's looking better. However, now their skin tone looks unnatural, so now that's bad. I don't want to do that. So let me reset this. Pro tip, if you double-click on any of these slider words, double-click, it will reset it back to 0. So I want to bump up the dark spots without making their skin brighter, and you can use that with these sliders down here. These 4 specifically will increase or decrease the bright spots and the dark spots. So right here with shadows and blacks, I can increase the dark areas. So if I take shadows and I drag it to the right, you see the shadows starting to lift, and then same thing with the blacks. So look at the screen, you can see the darker areas are now starting to become less dark. However, I did not sacrifice making their skins too bright. So now I have more balance in the photo. All right, let's go to the next one. The next one, or the next couple, will deal with color. So this one of the soccer players is too oversaturated, which means it's too colorful and the colors don't look natural. So let's go to that one with these guys. So these soccer players, if you scroll down here, you'll see vibrance and saturation. These control the intensity of a color. So if I take saturation and make it really high, you can see it's making the colors very vibrant. However, there is a downside to doing that with skin tones because now everyone's skin looks too red and weird. Vibrance is similar. It's a little bit smarter than saturation where it doesn't make it look so cartoony, but it still needs to be adjusted. So let's take vibrance and saturation again. Just bring them down just a little bit so it's slightly less colorful. If you bring it all the way down, you suck all the color out of it. And this is how you can turn a photo black and white, but we'll get into that in another lesson. So let's just turn it down a little bit. Maybe the vibrance down just a little bit too. You want to keep the color. I don't want to lose the color. I just don't want the color to be so cartoony. I want it to look, again, natural. The whole point of this is that things look natural. Perfect. That's looking good. Let's go to the next one. This one is the umbrellas. This one has the opposite problem. So go here, and let's crank these vibrance and saturation sliders up. This one we can go a little higher because there's no skin tone involved. We want it to just be vibrant colors on these objects. So this one's okay if we crank it up a little bit because that looks a lot better. We want that natural sky blue, but we don't have any skin tones getting in the way. So this one we can crank up a little bit higher. Good. And then let's go to our last one, this coffee cup. This one we're going to increase the contrast and the clarity so the image looks a little bit sharper. So if I go here, you can see it looks a little flat, a little dull, a little gray. So we have a couple of sliders right here, like this contrast one. This contrast one is really cool because it will make the bright areas brighter and the dark areas darker. So if I start dragging this, look what happens to the photo. If I start dragging this contrast slider. So it gets a little bit more punchy. It looks really cool. This is reset, so you can see the difference. Right there and right there. When you do it gradually, you don't really notice, but then when you do it really fast, you can notice the difference. And then lastly, let me zoom in. If you just click on the photo, you can zoom in and out. We're going to sharpen it up just a little bit. You can see that the bubbles are a little soft. This one, this clarity and this texture one will soften or sharpen pixels a little bit. If I drag it to the left, it softens it. So you can see it's getting a little hazy now, which is good for skin tones to soften people's skin. However, with objects, we don't usually want that because we want it to look crisp and clear. So if I reset it back to 0, I'm going to drag it to the right to increase the sharpness. You can see the bubbles are becoming a little bit sharper, a little more pronounced. There we go. Again, this is the original, and then this is if I sharpen it up a little bit. Again, it makes it look a little bit more punchy. Perfect. So those are all the edits we're going to do. So now let me show you how to export. One thing I want to keep in mind and mention is that we've made minor adjustments, minor fixes on color, and things are a little too bright or a little too dark or a little too soft. We've sharpened them up. However, this program is not a miracle worker. It can only make minor adjustments to help save your photo if it needs slight fixes. If you take a photo that's completely overexposed, way too bright or way too dark, or completely out of focus, those cannot be fixed in editing software. For that, you'd have to retake the photo. So it's best to get your photo as clean as you can straight out of camera and then come in here for just minor fixes. All right, so now we need to select all the photos. If you see out here, I click one at a time. I have each one selected one at a time. We're going to select all of them. First, by clicking the first one, just single click with your mouse, and then hold Shift on your keyboard and click the last one. Now you'll see they're all selected right here. Then we're going to come up to File and Export. Just do the regular export, not these other ones, just regular export. Export means the files are done and we need to send them off to the computer so we can start using them. And again, yours will probably look like this. Let me show you how to reset it. So what I want you to do for your export, and you're going to only have to do this the first time, and then after that you won't have to change this as many times. So where it says Export to, change this to Specific Folder, and you're going to choose your Lightroom Classic folder. So go to Choose, and then choose the Lightroom Classic that you made earlier. Intro to Graphics, Lightroom Classic. Don't choose the exercise folder, just choose the regular Lightroom Classic to select folder. Make sure you check this box turned on, put in subfolder, and call it Exports. That way when it puts your folder, when your picture's in there, it's going to put them in their own folder. And then you're going to click Rename To, and yours probably just says File Name. Change it to Custom Name Dash Sequence. Set it to that one. And then where it says text, put Lightroom Classic, like you see here. Type in Lightroom Classic for that. So what it's going to do, it's going to export each photo one at a time as Lightroom Classic 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. Last couple things to change. Scroll down. Again, if you don't see these windows, it's the arrows. The arrows are the key. Make sure these are open so you can see all these tabs right here. The only other ones we need to change is quality. Yours is probably about right here. Change it to 100. Slide that quality all the way up to 100. Max it out. And then the last thing, sorry, scroll down. Right here where it says pixels, make sure this says 300. Don't check any more boxes. Don't check this. Make sure this is turned off. All we did was change the slider to 100 and we changed this to 300. Everything else is fine. Leave everything else the way it is. In the future, the only things you're going to have to change now are the project folders you export your project to and the name of the files. And that'll be for future projects. So if you're working on something later for landscape photos, we're going to choose that landscape folder and name it landscape. But all these other stuff, the presets, the quality, and the resolution, those will be the same. We don't have to change those anymore. Once that's all done, then you can click Export. If you click Export and you get an error, try again, but turn this off. That's only if you're getting an error code saying that it can't make a file. Go back and try it again, but turn this off and it should work. If not, just click Export and everything should be fine. And you'll see there was a little slider that just popped up right here that said Export and then it went away, meaning mine are done. So now if I go to my Intro to Graphics, if I go to my Lightroom Classic folder, hey, check this out. There's a brand new folder there called Exports. And I can see here are my edited photos. The exercise files are still in their exercise folder. These are the originals before we edited them, so they're still there. But here's your brand new ones. So these are the ones you're going to put on the slideshow. So if you go back to the slideshow now, where it says Insert Image here, you're going to put the corrected one, just like it says in my example. So now you are officially a photo editor. Well done. Good job and congratulations. Add all 10 of those photos to this slideshow, and then you can click Turn in the assignment. With Lightroom Classic, for right now, we're done, so you can just close it out. It'll ask you, are you sure? You can click yes, and then it may or may not ask you to back up. You can click back up, that's fine, or you can skip. It's not a big deal. But now that you've added all of them, excellent work. Once it's all done, once the slideshow's done, you can click the Turn In button right here, and that'll be it. So good job. Again, as always, ask me questions if you have them, and have fun. I'll see you on the next tutorial.